Hello there, and welcome back to my Brick by Brick series here on YouTube. Anyone who liked and subscribed the video, awesome, thank you, I appreciate it. Now, today we're going to cover some suggestions for when you do actually start to work on creating your own city. Now, be mindful that the golden rule always applies. If something doesn't quite jive with you, change it. That's the key to moving forward as a storyteller in general. Alright, so you've decided that you're going to run a game of Vampire, and you're going to have the Chronicle set in a city that you've created. Props. This is going to be a lot of fun, but it's also going to be a labor of love. Now, the big decision that you've got going forward is going to impact a lot of the creative process from here on out. Some storytellers like doing everything in a vacuum. They've got their vision and their idea of how they want their chronicle to run. They've got an idea and a vision of how they want their city. Now, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. Everyone's storytelling styles are going to be different. And there is, something to be said about having, very little player involvement with the creation process is going to keep them on their toes. They're not going to have an idea of what's coming. Now, the approach that I prefer to take, however, is I try to get my players involved right from the beginning. I check with them what sect they plan on playing as or want to play as. I check what clans they're thinking about playing. I also ask them what kind of chronicle in general they want. If they want something that's going to be more political, or if they want something more action-oriented, or if they're wanting something more supernatural or personal horror. Now, once you've got all that kind of situated, the if you're new, the cliches are going to be a crutch that I do recommend relying upon. So if your players are wanting a more political story, it's best to have things with a strong Camarilla presence or a fully Camarilla controlled city. If you want something more action-oriented, then the Anarchs are a good fit. Now, I'm not saying that having a contested city isn't going to work, and in fact, that might actually, play up the dynamics quite a bit. If you want a big, heavy political chronicle, you can have it be Camarilla versus Anarch instead of inner Camarilla infighting. There could also be, if the players wanted to do an action chronicle, well then have them be a coterie that answers directly to the sheriff. Now, bear in mind that this is going to be more of just a guideline. The players themselves could very well do just fine, and it's up to you as a storyteller to help the process along. So just bear that out. Okay, so now it's time to go location scouting. You have to remember that the V5 canon is pretty light right now. It's established that Chicago is a strong Camarilla city, LA belongs to the Anarchs, and there are other cities and locations mentioned in like the Anarch and the Camarilla source book, but this is ultimately your game and your table. If you want to switch things around, throw everything out the window, by all means, make it so. The other angle to consider here, instead of necessarily relying on a real world location, you might want to go ahead and just build something completely fictitious. You would see that a lot in the old school Java Chat RPG games back in the day. I helped construct a few different cities for a few different chats. It's a lot of fun. But just know that doing a completely made up city, you're going to have to do a lot more work. And it might actually be easier, and I do recommend going this way, but the the V5 core book does recommend starting off in the city that you live in. One of the primary advantages with that is, as a local, you are going to be exposed to a lot more local history and stories and urban legends that may not necessarily make it out onto Wikipedia or the more we'll say free range internet. There's always oh, so and so knew so and so who knew so and this is how it actually went down, or figuring out why a street got named one thing and then the same stretch of street is named something completely different. So working in the little nuances like that really help add life to your city. Now, there's no such thing as doing too much research. Go through Wikipedia, go check out your local resources like the local library if at all possible, and start at the very beginning of when the city was founded, and start trying to find the little nooks and crannies that the kindred would have theoretically worked their way into. You have to remember that kindred are urban in nature, and wherever there's a mass grouping of people, there's going to be kindred, and they are going to try to find a way to get a leg up on their cousins. All right. Now, for example, one thing that I did when I was designing Sioux City here was there actually really was a strong connection with Chicago and Al Capone's outfit. And there's always those little things that really do accentuate and add to the kindred lore that you're building in the area. One last thing other than doing the hard copy research, actually get out and drive around or walk around in the neighborhoods you don't normally frequent, or if you do happen to go through an area every day, really stop, get out, and really open up your eyes and pay attention to your surroundings. One of the cool things with downtown Sioux City here is that there's a rather extensive network of skywalks, and as such, a lot of the alleyways in the downtown area are technically like indoors, or they seem like they're indoors. You've got your opening of the alley between the buildings, but then the skywalk runs over the top, and so you're really walking through a tunnel. And I was walking downtown one night and noticed one of the alleys had the lights on in it, and something sparked in my brain like, oh hey, this would actually be a pretty cool place for the local brouhaha to hang out. So getting your feet on the pavement and really soaking it all in, you'll never be disappointed with what you might discover, and it helps really give more personality to each individual neighborhood. All right, well, now that we've got the big overview out of the way, in the next entry, I do plan on starting to narrow the focus down a little bit. We're going to go over more of working in the local history and, trying to, still work within what canon does exist. And then we're going to go over neighborhood creation details. So, thank you for sticking with me, and hopefully the new video will be out relatively soon. Y'all have a good night. Thank you.